than compared to a lot of others. We're not making 400% on this site like we did on Ferguson or some of the others. It's pretty tight. So I would just suggest you not to get overly aggressive in commitment. Second, one of the things we work on this summer is trying to work with Home Depot. Now you remember, you've been around long enough to know that for years they tried to work to get some kind of signage there. When you come off the thruway exit, it was right straight across the street from you. Could have directional signs to where what you're saying is these locations, but we never could do that because they didn't control that land. So that's one of the next steps to see if I can help you is get that land off of them, tie it in with that tourism center. I would just suggest to you that try to put more of that. Well, we could probably put some of that cost into the actual tourism center redevelopment.
Yeah, maybe Home Depot would be interested in sponsoring a portion of that sign project, considering that maybe they'll be the feature.
Yeah, I don't think they would want one because they got this big ass sign for their own right. That's right there. I think their contribution would be to make a donation of land to the idea.
We'll just make a community easement to build the sign.
What I'm hoping they do is get them to donate the
Oh,
land.
yeah.
Because right now, half the something like a third of the parking for the sewage parking lot is actually on Home Depot land.
So they rent the land or do they?
From what we can tell, it's just sort of a handshake type thing.
My experience with them is they're not exactly the easiest group of people to deal with.
It's been hard finding the contacts, but we have.
I have a lawyer that I dealt with, if you want, named Jeremy
Do
Cole.
they actually own the land or is it some?
They own it.
They own it now.
Okay, they actually own
This
it.
one's one of their stores, yeah.
I can call them to ask. I mean, you know, because I've done a bunch of stories with them, but they're not free thinkers. You know, they just, you know, this is a real estate model and that's what it is.
See, that Stewart's goes way back before Home Depot, so I think it's one of those things, but it means Sadie Bryan on that property, right, when he sold Home Depot. Yeah, so I think it's just one of those things that it was always there, and then when he sold it, Home Depot didn't impact them, so they sort of let it keep going.
I wonder if, since we have a large artist community here, whether we commission some kind of piece there.
Yeah, I mean,
That, you know, mural or sculpture or something.
We're kind of pregnant with, this is kind of an important piece to our community.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been here a while and you get off there and then we had that hotel, which was a piece of crap,
mhm.
you know, and that was our community. That was our gateway to our community. And Catskill's actually a nice little town.
Yeah,
When you
Well,
kind
going
of,
left or right. I mean, I think you were on the right direction, which is this really should be the tourism. This is a project of the tourism center and kind of the county and really, and so while we can be a part of it. I mean, I have visions of the round top signs as we've all been, you know, like, what the heck is going on here? But I do think that keeping that finger on that pulse, where we might be of assistance, right? But we're not the lead. They should take this opportunity because Camptown people are making the investment to pull up.
Right.
And
And be clear, I wasn't really talking about what you look at directly when you're sitting at the light. I'm talking about when you're sitting at the light and you look to the right, you see tourism, you see tours, and you see that bridge really pulling you towards that bridge. You know, it's opposite of Catskill,
Right.
don't get me wrong, but that's kind of where, you know, a different segment of our tourism leads as traditional tourism type thing. So, not that doesn't mean that a sculpture or some sort at the tourism center itself, you know, towards that side where you're talking about the property is Home Depot's property may be desirable, you know, that's.
So you kind of example, of something, you know, that you're thinking.
Personally, in my head, it's only, I do a lot of work up in Wyndham, a lot of stone wall.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it presents an aesthetic that says, well, quite frankly, there's a little money here.
I've got
Don't
one
want
of
to-
those, just trying to figure in my head besides.
well, Renee,
Something that you would go off and look at that could direct you to the direction. How do you see it integrated into like beyond that point?
Well,
laterally?
take like example, you know, we got the lot for the restaurant. So you're gonna have, and we got our new road going. So it's essentially, it's west of the new road. And it's west of the entry into the tourism. So, and it may be pulled back as far as those entries. You know, instead of being all the way up at the bridge, it's sucked back towards the thruway. But you're seeing some type of common aesthetic that's pulled that way.
the whole thing should be looked at as a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
That whole area, from the sign to leading,
Right.
down, and I think Maggie's spot on. I mean, that's a countywide, that's a county thing.
You know, Renee,
Funds should
something-
come from that.
So it's kind of to Donna's point, up in Northville, it's right in town, the beginning of the Northville Plastic Trail, and they had this, he's sort of an artist, but he's also a wood craftsman, and he made this sign, it's beautiful, it's all handcrafted, he hand carved it, and it's right in the middle of town, it's like the gateway, the entranceway to the trail, and people go there and they take pictures in town. and
No, I understand the
That kind
concept,
of-
we're trying to figure spatially how and where that fits.
I
So
think
if you want to build, let's say some stone, so
There's-
you want to build stone wall, kind of like we have in the business parks up here, these little stone planters at the entrances. They consume a fairly decent piece of space, okay, we had a lot of space up here that we don't have down there. And then I'm just curious as if they got built, who then operates and who takes care of them or maintains them? Because this has been for you guys, it's been a constant drip, 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 and if you go up there and look now at those stone walls, they're starting to settle and they're starting to.
And maybe it's tourism that handles it.
Well,
Yeah.
Or maybe like Cultivate Catskill,
Yeah.
who is, I contribute to as a business owner every year.
I think everybody likes
To
the
them and
concept,
they
it's just
handle
we
it.
kind of covered the nut on it, right, is the.
Or
But
we're.
I think if you pull in the owners of some of the properties, because if you think about what you're talking about in Wyndham, I haven't been out there like in a year or so, and it's really, well, some of those properties, you want to distinguish them as properties as opposed to just bleeding into 23. You know what I mean? For their purposes as well, this could be part of their planning, everybody to think about that, so you just don't have DOT trucks pushing trash into your culvert that no one's maintaining, in the first place.
And maybe it's not as, like we are here up here at the parks where we're loose laid stone. Maybe it is something that's on a footing, it is, I don't want to say a longer duration, but it's tied together, so there's a main part is,
I don't want to belabor the artist thing, but it'd be nice to keep some money in the community.
Yeah. and that's
Well,
a-
we were talking about that property. When I was a kid and growing up in Catskill and Weeds, when you turned off where Stewart's is now, there was a road that went up behind that treed area. There was a park there. And there was a road that came up and it came out over by the in and out above where in between where the Home Depot exit is now and the gas station up the road. And you used to be able to walk through there, and then there was another road that went up to the resort that was up in the back. But that essentially, that beginning of the road where that excess parking is for Stewart's is where that road was going up into there. So if you could control that whole piece of property, now you got that knoll there, which was a park back in the day, used to be a little white and green building up in there. And maybe you do a little bit of a patch up there, you put a gazebo, someplace to have lunch or something like that up on that knoll. It's something from the artist community that, that draws you there, not what they. In my neighborhood was put a piece of sheetrock painted red and black and some other colors, and that was an artist installation.
Maybe something not so much.
I'm not impressed.
Well, I think the concept, but just, like I said, I think it may be in tourism or counties wheelhouse, or we contribute a little bit, but somebody's got to maintain it, and pay for it.
and then just so everybody remembers that, back to the budget item on this, where there was on the tourism center, there was a preliminary architect's budget. Back when we first started the process, so about 500,000 or 500 to do that. That can be adjusted, obviously, because when I met with the architect last time, they wanted to start moving door locations, and I was like, look, why are we spending money on structural issues like moving lentils and headers? Use the existing doorways, the window ways, you should be designing around them, changing the windows, the fixtures out, but not starting to put new openings, because that, as you well know, raises the ticket quick. But if you remember, we've had 5 or 6 projects now all contributing to this. So we've been building up a piggy bank. And I think as more hospitality projects we go on, I would assume the idea would want to continue that to kind of add to that budget in there. But then the plan has always been that the county would make up any shortcoming on that.